Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Alan Pennico from the Southern California Rental Housing Association. Welcome back to our chat channel where we're just giving a chance to interview some of our members and let the world know about more what we do and who we are, what makes up the rental housing industry. Today we have with us Brent Walla. Brent, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi Alan, thanks for having me here today. As you mentioned, Brent Walla. I'm with Snap and Associates Insurance Services. We're a commercial insurance broker here in San Diego. Work all through California and 38 states around the U.S. So work a lot inside of the multifamily housing, and looking forward to chatting with you today.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Brent. So you've been a member of ours for about 4 years now? I would say 3 or 4 years.
Going on 4 years now. So
yeah.
It's been good, and we've seen a lot.
You're right. How did you find us?
Ironically, when I started here at Snap, I was looking at some different kind of verticals to go after. Our agency already has a large presence inside the multifamily housing space, and I was one day looking through some online publications, and I saw that there was a mixer at Liberty Station with the Southern California Rental Housing Association, and at that time, SDCAA, right? So I emailed your membership director at that time. I said, would it be okay if I stop by and learn a little bit about your association? And I did, and went to that mixer that evening and met a lot of people, including yourself that night, and really got a feel for the team at that time, and had a lot of conversations with members and was able to ask them, you know, why are you a part of this? Where are your values? And basically, you know, what do you do and where are the values? And I had a great experience. And from that night alone, I met 3 or 4 people that I still keep in touch with today, and decided to become a member. And, you know, the rest is history.
That's great. And it's been great having you with the association and part of the membership. It's been a real fun experience, and I hope that's what you're getting, the mixers. I think of the mixers every time someone mentions the mixers. We all miss mixers, don't we?
We certainly do. I think everybody is ready for some social, personal interaction, right? And I think our mixers are great. You're always meeting people, and you're always seeing friends and associates on those. So yeah, when we can do that, I'm looking forward to getting our mixers back in place.
Me too. And you know, you probably found out that the rental housing industry has a bit of a negative persona out there, if you will, and unjustifiably from my perspective on it. What are your thoughts on that as a relatively new member to our industry, but yet still part of it?
I think this industry, like so many things in life, is very misunderstood, right? When people don't understand, it's hard to comprehend, and it's hard to associate with that. And you might come with a perceived bias from one perspective or the other. And what I think is that when you get down to it and you work with the people in the industry, as an outsider looking in, maybe you see big apartment buildings and think massive, big business, it's not human. But really, when you get behind the curtain, right, or you start to know the people that are involved, whether it's the companies, the business owners, the actual individual that might own an apartment building, it's very human. And where we sit there from the side and talk about it, the industry, maybe from the owner's perspective, from the companies like myself that service the industry, and then you get into really on the back end, the property management companies, and then who they working for, or those independent owners, right? And at the end of the day, it's very much more human than I think people will give it credit for. And, you know, it's home. It's somebody's home, right? So that's a personal, very personal part of your life. And of course, if I live in a home and I have challenges in my home, I think maybe as a homeowner, I would have struggles in a perspective. But yet if I'm a renter and I have those same maybe challenges, I don't know the people who own my building, and I don't realize it's maybe been in their family for the last 20 years and handed down from a generation. And it's a way that somebody's actually trying to make a living too. And, you know, it's always that perspective of the other side of the desk and the assumptions that are made. It's like, oh, you've got it made. It must be easy on that side. And I think, from the Rental Housing Association, it's not an easy space, right? It's not easy to own and operate. And I think the tenant's perspective is very disconnected from the owner's perspective. And I think at the association, at least I've been able to see it from both sides, right? Where I might have come from the renter in my previous, time, but now it's like I work with people who own buildings. So seeing the challenges with that, it's like the perspective of the negativity is only coming from one side. And maybe that's where maybe the media is picking up on, or the only time that you've ever talked to anybody about the Rental Housing Association is from being a renter, right? So I can see where it comes from, but it's unjust, and it's one side of the coin where we need to look at the other side of the coin as well.
Yeah, the thing that, your comments just sort of strikes me is this thing that I've always said to our members when they come up and they say, look, I'm having this problem with a neighboring property or business or whatever, or I'm struggling to find additional parking. And first thing I'll ask them is there any businesses that are nearby that are open from 7 to 5 that might have parking you can use at night, and you can work out a deal where you have your maintenance guys clean up their parking lot every night, but your tenants can use it as overflow. Act like a neighbor.
Yeah.
Neighborly. Talk to them. It's your community. You're part of it. And we have this discussion with the legislative issues as well. My lobbyist Molly Kirkland, she comes and we talk about it. And I said, remember, Molly, the number one thing is there are not laws for tenants and laws for landlords. They're just laws that apply to both. And people need to remember that it is what it is, and we're all part of the same community, and we're all looking at it from different perspectives. But I think, from my experience, for the most part, that the industry is very well integrated with the community. Could be more. All of us could do more to get to know our neighbors a bit. But I just think the generosity that has come from the members of our industry, whether it's an independent owner or independent owner of 1 or 2 units, or an independent owner of thousands of units, because we have them both in our industry. And so I just try to remind people that the community is yours. It's what you make of it. And that seems to go a long ways. And I think with regard to that negative sort of persona out there, I think that, again, treat people the way you want to be treated, sort of ideal.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think there's any relationship, right, personal or business, that if I'm only going to take my agenda, my perspective, and lean with that, is it really going to serve, right? So depending on what side of the fence we're talking about, I think you providing that insight to the industry, to some of the owners, exactly. Hey, how do we be a good neighbor? How do we walk through this collectively and service all? But yeah, so I think that sometimes people forget, because it's what's in front of them, and it's the challenges and maybe the tasks or the stress that's put on them that goes, hey, I need to solve this problem, but we need collectively to look at it. So I think that's a way here, and I'd say as a rule of thumb in life, to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the challenges in the neighborhood area, our community, if you will, we've all gone through a lot in the last 7 months because of COVID. And how has the association been able to help your business during the crisis?
So I think for me, as I look at that, I think the association has done a good job of keeping us connected, right? We're all isolated to some extent. We've been back in our offices. Our industry, being the insurance, was deemed essential. And even though we're only at 60% capacity here, we're still, we're limited, right? And the ability to go out and see our clients or have them come here has been challenging, and doesn't really exist the way it used to prior to, maybe back in 2019. So I think the association has done a good job of keeping us connected. They've integrated technology very well and kept us meeting. Our committees that I'm involved with have stayed consistent on there. I think as we all try to navigate and figure it out, just like, every business and every part of the business, we've continued to get better. I mean, we're here now doing an interview from each of our own locations, right? So I think the industry has kept us connected and kept me informed as well. I think COVID, as it complicates every facet of business, we've seen challenges specifically to the industry, right? And the reaction, and we've seen the pendulum swing hard, or at least what's asked for, or what people are trying to do, swing hard. And through the, the association has brought that to awareness. We've kind of talked about that, and I think I'm more educated because of it, and how we navigate, and how then I speak to some of my clients and say, hey, are you aware of this? These are some of the things that are happening in local government right now. This is something you might want to be aware of. And then I've taken a lot of that information and just pushed it out on my social media, again, just to bring awareness and keep people engaged and going, hey, I just want to make sure you know out there. So the connectivity is good. The education has been thorough and continuous on that. And so, there's a lot of people I haven't seen in the last 7 months, but through the people here, we're staying connected. And it's a challenge, but they've done a really good job, and I think that's helped me.
And I think that kind of goes to we have our LinkedIn group, the Southern Colorado Rental Housing Association LinkedIn group. I posted a question the other day to it, what is your new handshake? What is your digital handshake? Because we can't meet in person anymore. We can't stop by the offices. So what is your digital handshake? And I've gotten a few responses to that, and it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I would say that I haven't defined my digital handshake right now. Maybe the old classic fist bumps out there on that one. I'd say that, I've definitely seen people doing that. And, the good old classic, we'll throw the peace sign out, like, hey, we're signing off. I think the peace sign is one that I have shared with people. I think, no need to explain that one, right?
Yeah.
And kind of uplifting on there. So I would say that it's a peace sign at this time.
Excellent. That's not a bad one to have. Well, thanks for joining us today, Brent. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, and sharing some information with us. So if you are watching this out there and you want to see more videos like this, you can go to our YouTube channel, SoCal RHA, and find more videos with our interviews with our members. And if you want more information about our association, you can go to www.socalrha.org. Thanks so much, and take care, Brent.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you having me.